The unprecedented political stalemate in the U.S. Capitol has moved from the negotiating table to the skies, with the Federal Aviation Administration announcing a mandatory 10% reduction in air traffic across 40 of the nation's busiest airports starting tomorrow. The drastic measure is a direct response to severe staffing shortages caused by the ongoing government shutdown, which, as of today, has stretched to a record-breaking 37 days. The immediate crisis is rooted in the immense and unsustainable strain placed on the federal workforce. The FAA confirmed that air traffic controllers deemed essential personnel have been required to work without pay for over a month, a decision taken personally by Donald Trump. This financial burden has led to widespread fatigue, illness, and a critical loss of operational capacity, with reports indicating absence rates as high as 20 to 40% at some of the nation's largest and most complex air traffic control facilities. The decision to reduce flight volume, therefore, is not an economic choice, but a direct safety measure aimed at preventing catastrophic failures in the severely strained national airspace system. Former reality TV show star turned Transportation Secretary Duffy openly warned that a continued deadlock could lead to mass chaos and force authorities to close parts of the national airspace entirely. The aviation distress is merely the most visible symptom of a broader crisis impacting the federal workforce. As of day 37, approximately 730,000 federal employees remain categorized as essential and are working without pay, while another 670,000 federal employees have been furloughed, causing an immediate halt to many public services. The human cost is staggering. If the shutdown continues through Thanksgiving, 4.5 million paychecks totaling an estimated $21 billion in withheld wages across civilian federal employees and armed forces will have been missed. This massive loss of income compromises the financial stability of nearly 1.4 million families and creates immense downstream economic pressure. The immediate consequences for travelers are expected to be thousands of flight delays and cancellations, disrupting plans in the busy lead-up to the Thanksgiving holiday. Aviation analytics firm Cirium estimates the 10% reduction could eliminate up to 1,800 flights daily, affecting nearly 270,000 passenger seats. The airlines, including United, American, and Delta, have begun adjusting schedules, with early reports suggesting domestic and regional routes will bear the brunt of the cuts, while long-haul international and major hub-to-hub flights will be largely protected. Carriers have committed to offering penalty-free options for travelers, including refunds for normally non-refundable fares, but the travel industry has been vocal in its criticism, with the U.S. Travel Association citing the damage to confidence in the U.S. air travel experience. Economically, the cost of the political impasse continues to mount far beyond the airlines. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the shutdown will cost the U.S. economy at least $7 billion, with some analysts warning of losses reaching $15 billion a week. The mandatory flight cuts exacerbate this damage by hitting crucial logistical supply chains, as the reductions impact major cargo hubs, essentially for the movement of goods. The cuts target high-volume markets across the country. Major hubs expected to see reduced traffic, delays and cancellations include Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, Dallas-Fort Worth, Denver International, Chicago O'Hare, Los Angeles, Newark Liberty, Miami, San Francisco, Memphis International, and Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, where the tragic UPS crash happened just a few days ago. In large metro areas like New York, Chicago, and Houston, multiple airports are expected to be impacted, creating a cascading effect throughout the global aviation network. The decision to limit air traffic also includes imposing restrictions on general aviation flights and limiting space launches to specific times of day, reflecting the extraordinary steps required to preserve public safety. The government shutdown began on October 1st after Congress failed to pass appropriations legislation. The record-setting closure is rooted in a fundamental standoff between the Republican-controlled House and Senate Democrats. The impasse centers on Senate Republicans refusing to fund an extension of critical Affordable Care Act premium tax credits that are set to expire. These subsidies, initially enhanced by the American Rescue Plan and later extended by Joe Biden's inflation Inflation Reduction Act significantly reduced the cost of premiums for over 22 million Americans by expanding eligibility and lowering maximum household contributions. The Democratic strategy is to leverage the urgency of the funding deadline to force the inclusion of these essential healthcare provisions, which, if allowed to expire, would see the average premium cost for marketplace enrollees more than double nationwide. The Congressional Budget Office projects that allowing the credits to lapse could cause up to 4 million people to lose their insurance coverage, creating a new healthcare crisis simultaneous with the aviation and economic disruptions. Despite the Republican majority in both chambers and their opposition to permanently extending the subsidies, the House-passed funding bill has been rejected multiple times in the Senate due to the need to overcome the 60-vote filibuster, a threshold Democrats have refused to meet without the healthcare provisions being addressed. Thus, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is not merely a budget fight, but a high-stakes legislative battle where aviation safety, economic stability, and access to healthcare for millions of Americans are the collateral damage of political brinkmanship. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.